Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm the Takunome, and welcome to my humble slices of the internet that are my Twitch and YouTube channels. How's everyone doing today? Hope that you're having a good day today, a good week even, and if that has not been the case for you, maybe this reading stream could be a bit of a bright spot to your day. Now, I would imagine that maybe a good number of the people who listen to the reading stream are people from the States, from America. I hope that if you went protesting today, that you stayed safe and that you were able to protest and exercise your First Amendment right without many, without threats or harm to your being. Because unfortunately, that is where we are now. But tonight, we are going to continue reading Clockwork Twist, Book 10, Time by Emily Thompson. Now, for those of you who may be new here, you're wondering, my Taka, who is Emily Thompson? Well, dear listener, whether you're new or not, allow me the opportunity to read their bio to you. Emily Thompson is a non-binary author and artist originally from Northern California. Although they adore steampunk and all things Victoriana, they also write science fiction and fantasy. After studying film and animation in university, Emily changed to a Japanese language focus and studied in Tokyo. After receiving a language degree and spending a number of years abroad, they now live in Washington and spend most of their free time writing in coffee shops, painting, crocheting plushies, coding, and playing lots of cozy video games. And that is our author for the evening. I have the book ready to go. Also have my cup of tea. It is currently still steeping. So we're going to give that, well, of course, we're going to give that some time to really get the tea-ness out of the leaves. And before we begin, as always, we generally go through news for the channels. I mentioned last Saturday that next Saturday we will have a reading stream Halloween special. So for this stream, and I already have some submissions here, I wanted to see if, well, not just you, but anyone you may know or anyone I do not know or so on and so forth, if you are interested in participating in the Halloween special. And what we ask, or I guess what I ask, is that you're able to write a short story that fits the theme. So it could be horror, it could be thriller, it could be suspense, something that really makes your skin crawl or you get goosebumps or your hair stands on your skin. Anything of that nature will be fine. If you are interested, but you haven't told me yet, feel free to, well, send me a message on the Discord if you're part of the Discord. If you know if you have Blue Sky, if you will, you could send me a message on Blue Sky under the name The Takonome, or you could send me a message on Twitch or YouTube, a direct message, and I'm pretty sure I will see it. It's just if you intend to participate, I will need submissions preferably by Wednesday. So if you want to participate, contact me soon because Wednesday will be here before you know it. I still need to finish writing my story. And in addition to that, in addition to reading stories from other people and myself, we will do one Edgar Allan Poe story, The Cask of Amontillado, per request. So it may be, honestly, next Saturday for the Halloween special may be a little longer than normal, but I believe it will be worth it. And I'm curious to see, well, I'll be reading the stories beforehand because I want to make sure they fit. Nevertheless, I am looking forward to seeing what other people have written and see their creativity. Any other news? Let's see. Well, for those who are part of the Discord, a reminder, next Saturday we will also begin our multi-world gaming, and our community day for Stardew is the final Sunday of this month. Outside of that, as far as reading stream goes, I do not foresee time in the immediate future where we do not have reading stream. Looking at my calendar here, and it looks like almost every Saturday for the rest of this year, we should have the reading stream. Of course, that can change, but I do not believe I will be traveling anytime when we will have the reading stream. So, as long as I stay healthy and nothing weird happens in the net for the rest of the year on Saturdays, we will have the reading stream. Anything else? I do not believe so. So, with that, let us get into. Oh no! Before we get into tonight's story, the rest of Book 10, Time, I need to read the recap of everything that has happened since Book 1 until now, and I will not spoil anything too big within this recap. Hopefully. I will do my best. So, recap. For most of his life, Twist has been alone. Orphaned as a baby, he would eventually repair clocks in the quiet, cozy shop in London. Thanks to his sight, his supernatural ability, he could repair just about anything simply by touching it to find what is broken. Unfortunately, this worked with people, thus making it virtually impossible for him to make physical contact with others. His life changed when a young woman requested his help to mend the mythical Clockwork Princess. Since he has set off of his adventure, he has discovered new worlds and made powerful friends and allies along the way. With his sky pirate friend Jonas and the wonderful Clockwork fiancée Mira by his side, the world is a little easier to manage. However, it is not all fun and games. Dangerous and ancient forces wish to see his demise and will do anything to make it come true. Through the use of spells and wit, Twist and his friends have managed to avoid their grim fates. After meeting his lost father, accidentally pulling a distant descendant to the past, and journeying to Argentina, Twist and his friends witnessed the impossible. Through the genius of his father and the combined talents of the team, they successfully saved Twist's mother from certain death by pulling her from the past to the present. All's well that ends well, but this is not the end. Altering the timeline often has consequences. And there you have it. Now, do I know what's going to happen next? I do not. I am learning what is happening in this story in real time with all of you as I read. However, just really quick, I do want to apologize in advance because I am excited to do the reading stream tonight. But you may notice that I'm having some difficulties with reading or focusing and whatnot. I want to apologize because I did just get back from I did just get back from a wedding, and I did a lot of talking at the wedding. Surprise! So we will do our best. I do believe this will be a great reading stream. Just bear with me. I've used my voice a lot today. And I believe that is everything. So, this is Clockwork Twist, Book 10, Time by Emily Thompson. We are currently on page 232. With that, let's begin. Now that Twist had managed to have something of a conversation with his mother, the others seemed to relax as well. Mira returned to Twist's side first, clearly unable to keep away any longer. Twist gave her his best smile, hoping to dispel any lingering worries from her mind. Jonas approached quickly as well, still keeping a watchful eye on Twist, but now letting him act on his own. From the direction that the mild conversation between them all took, Twist imagined that his mother had already been introduced to Kima, Pamut, and Robin, while also being told who Jonas was along the way. Twist also gathered that Pamut had enchanted the little charm she now wore, using Miguel's blood. Miguel, meanwhile, didn't seem able to stop smiling. He and his wife stood close together, his hand on her waist, as if out of habit. Even if their suddenly vast age difference was as clear as day, so was the love and comfort they both clearly found in each other's eyes. So, Robin said as they all stood together in the garden, your time machine worked like a charm, Mr. Wells. How about I get out of your hair and head back to my home myself? Yes, of course, Miguel said, his expression fading into thoughtfulness. What? Robin asked, suddenly worried. It works, he said, gesturing to Naomi. What's the problem, Bob? Oh, yes, it works, Miguel said. It's just that I can't send you home without using the same method as I used to bring Naomi here. I can still send you home, he added quickly when Robin's expression sharpened with dread. I just need to do it another way. I've been trying to work out the details, but, well, if I'm honest, I was rather distracted until now. Miguel glanced to his wife, and Robin nodded his understanding. I get it, Pops. It's cool, just as long as I don't have to wait around 60 years for my time to catch up with me, Robin added with a chuckle. I'd be ancient by the time I was born. Well, Miguel said, that's actually exactly what I plan to do. Say what now? Robin balked. I need to work out the calculations, Miguel said, and I'll have to rebuild a part of my machine. But that dark star can do more than just bend the future onto the past. It can effectively make time stand still as well. Like I said, I need to work through the mathematics, but I'm pretty sure I can freeze you in time until 1946. Then I should be able to set the mechanism to break the time lock and set you free. From your perspective, nothing but the moment would pass, but you'll be back in your own time without experiencing another day. Robin appeared to be in deep concentration. He turned to Mira. Did that make sense to you, Dollface? I think so, Mira answered. I think he's saying that he can make it seem to you like 60 years have passed in the blink of an eye. She looked to Miguel. Robin won't be any older when he arrives in the future, will he? Not a moment older, if I can do it right, Miguel answered. You'll still be here in Argentina, and you'll have to find your way home to America, but you'll arrive in your own time, just as you are now, without experiencing any of the time between. Robin still seemed somewhat skeptical, but he shrugged nonetheless. If that's my way home, I'll take it. Say, can I bum the bus fare back to San Francisco off ya? Miguel chuckled. We'll work that out too. If I work on it tonight, I should be able to send you on your way tomorrow, or the next day at the latest. It really shouldn't take me very long to adjust the device. Robin nodded, seeming perfectly relaxed now. Well then, Jonas said, if that's all settled, what say we all go have ourselves a drink to celebrate Naomi's return and Robin's swift departure. I still got half a case of the best rum in the Caribbean. I'm down with that plan, Robin said decisively. I think that's a marvelous idea, Twist agreed. Only half a case? Kima asked, looking at Jonas sideways. You got through it very quickly. Don't judge me, Jonas said with a sour looking pout, jumping on her easily offered bait like a tabby on a ball of yarn. It's very good rum. Kima smirked at him and shook her head, taking the lead back toward the Icarus. When Naomi seemed entertained as she recognized their banter for the playful trifle that it was, Twist couldn't help but smile as well. His mother had returned from death, safe and sound, after all. If there was ever a time to celebrate, it was surely tonight. The dining room of the Icarus was filled with pleasant chatter and warmth as night began to fall. Pamut helped Mira to prepare a meal of roasted chicken and spicy sausages, which she picked up at a local market the day before. There was also a wide array of fresh vegetables and fruits on offer, and a flavorful dish of rice, herbs, and nuts. As promised, Jonas kept the rum flowing. In this light and comfortable atmosphere, Twist found it easier to join in as his parents tried to understand all that had happened since they last met. He ended up in an orphanage instead of a workhouse, just as I hoped, Miguel explained, catching Naomi up on the last night they had seen each other. His tone was somber, but not as bleak as it had been when he told the same story to Twist. I knew they'd followed me, and I knew they'd tried to break into my dreams. I was terrified of talking to any of the priests and accidentally leading the Fae to them, so I left a note to explain as best as I could and begged them not to send him to a workhouse. But I don't really know how coherent it was. He chuckled softly, shaking his head and appearing amazed. I even started to write out his name before I realized what I was doing and scratched it out. I'm glad you caught that, Naomi said, as if he dodged a bullet. You really couldn't leave me with any part of my real name? Twist asked. Apologies, there's a fire truck going by. And I believe the fire truck has gone by. Let us continue. You really couldn't leave me with any part of my real name? Twist asked. Not even just my Christian name. I'm not the only one in the world named Tristan. Mm, I couldn't risk letting anyone say it and be overheard by the Fae, Miguel answered. Jonas snapped his fingers, coming to some strange revelation. Twist! What? Twist asked, startled. No, the name. Twist, Jonas said. Think of it. Miguel wrote Tristan, or maybe even Trist, and then scratched it out in a hurry. Whoever read that note might have been able to make out a bit of it. And who's a famous orphan? Why, Oliver Twist, of course. That's why they call you Twist. It has to be. Has to be. It was the best they could make out, and it made the most sense at the time. Robin chuckled. That sounds weirdly reasonable. Damn Dickens, Twist grumbled, yet again annoyed with the author and his infernal choice of names. Wait, Naomi said, suddenly appearing confused. She peered at her son questioningly. I understand that you couldn't use your true name, but what name have you been using all this time? Twist something. Twist's blurry mind cleared suddenly, hearing his mother call him by the name he knew so well. It's just Twist. People use it either as my Christian name or family name. I never had a second one. Naomi seemed to find this odd. But you were given an orphanage. Wouldn't your adopted family have given you their family name, at least? Twist could think of nothing to say but the truth. I was never adopted. Naomi's face paled with sudden horror and pity, while Miguel's expression turned dismal as he now fully understood that Twist was only taken in as an apprentice and not a family member. Kima and Robin also looked to him, stunned and silent. Even Pamut looked at Twist as if he said something deeply meaningful. Only Mira and Jonas seemed relatively unaffected by his words, but they too fell quiet. You weren't adopted? Naomi asked, her voice hollow. Not ever? Twist's soul writhed to see her so affected, and his heart began to pound. The searing attention of the others wasn't helping either. You never know it, would you? Mira asked with an untroubled smile and a gleam of pride in her eyes. Twist looked to her quickly, shocked by how delightful it felt to hear her implications. Yeah, he turned out just fine, Jonas said casually, doubling the strength of Mira's point. Mira glanced at Jonas conspiratorially. Besides, Jonas went on with a shrug, he's got more family than I do now, especially if you count Mama and all her kin. At the mention of her own family, Naomi suddenly seemed startled, looking to her husband wide-eyed. But they must all think I'm dead. But they all must think I'm dead. Well, you were, Miguel said, patting at her hand supportively. I pulled you out of the past as nearly as I could to the moment before you died. Naomi's other hand moved, as if unconsciously, to the now bound wound below her throat. But you weren't there. I was in Fairy. How could you know exactly when? Miguel looked back at her with sudden sadness. I knew. Everyone at the table paused, looking at him in silence. Twist's chest tightened at the thought. Had his father and mother been so close that Miguel had actually felt some noticeable change in the world at the very moment of her death? Twist imagined he might as well if anything ever happened to his own love. Beside him, Mira looked to him with thoughts in her eyes. Twist suddenly wondered if she was thinking exactly the same thing. Naomi took Miguel's hand, giving it a squeeze. It's all right, Miguel said, his voice suddenly light once again. You're alive now. I wish I could see my family, Naomi said, clearly happy to change the subject back onto brighter things. If only to show them that I am all right. Well, Miguel said, turning to look at Twist. We are aboard our son's airship right now. It might be a trick to find them, but Tristan, would you mind taking us to Mama's camp? Twist looked to Jonas. Jonas sighed and shook his head. Back across the Atlantic we go. I'm getting sick of seeing the same boring ocean over the side all the time. Kima chuckled. You can get bored of anything. But we've been crossing the damn thing all month, Jonas protested. From France to Atlantis, from the Caribbean to Canada, Iceland to England, London to Buenos Aires, over it, all again and again. I just long for a desert or some bloody mountains. There, old chap, Twist said, grinning at his friend. At least we're not stuck in one place for too long. True, Jonas said, unnerved by the very idea. But honestly, he said to Miguel's slight confusion, we don't have anywhere else to be now, right now. Why not? We can head over to France as soon as Robin's sorted out. Miguel, Naomi, and Robin all appeared relieved by this, while Kima, Mira, and Pamut didn't seem to care one way or another. But then, Jonas said warningly to Twist, we're going somewhere that isn't on the other side of the damn Atlantic. Twist chuckled at him, but nodded. Thank you, Jonas, Naomi said, appearing amused by his complaints. Jonas shrugged, but Twist felt a subtle sense of comfort in his spirit to see her accept his antics so easily. Actually, Miguel mentioned thoughtfully, it might be a very good idea to meet Mama anyway. After all, we might be all carrying charms, but we're still being hunted. And right now, both halves of the split soul and both of us, he added with a glance to his wife, are all in the same room together. If the fairies knew they would unleash every ounce of their might on us, I'd like to be under as much protection as possible. Sorry. Should we be worried now that you're all together? Mira asked. I know they lost track of me years ago, Miguel answered, and they have no reason to know that I've brought you through time to this day, he said to his wife. He then looked to Twist and Jonas. You two are what they're truly after. If they did know where you are right now, we would already be under attack. I warded the ship, Pamut mentioned. No one dreaming on board can get caught in Fairy. No voice can leave the ship unwarded, and the whole thing is invisible to Fae. I can't imagine any way for them to find us aboard this ship. You did all that? Naomi asked, clearly impressed. Pamut shrugged. The spells aren't difficult if you know them. Not difficult? Naomi repeated in disbelief. You're talking about very powerful magic. How did someone so young learn so much? Pabut was clearly unsure how to answer, but sitting beside him, Kima draped an arm over his shoulders, smiling proudly to Naomi. My son's magic is very powerful. He was taught by the Winter Fae and now fights against them. Without his help, we would all be lost. Twist was glad to see Kima speak so proudly of her son and noticed an expression of stunned amazement on Pamut's suddenly pink face. He was taught by the Fae? Naomi asked, astonished. By a general named Jack Frost? Kiba answered, nodding. Or his replacement, anyway. His thug, a satyr named Storm, came to this world as a changeling and traded places with Pamut. While Naomi's face washed over with surprise at the news, Kima's smile turned more pleased. We got Pamut back, though, as you can see, and I killed Storm with my own hands. Storm? Naomi echoed with stunned recognition. That's the name of the satyr that held me down and threatened to kill me if I didn't talk, she said, absently touching the bandaged wound at her throat. Twist shuddered as his mind emptied of all but one thought. Storm had been the one who had personally threatened his mother. He would have been her murderer if Miguel hadn't saved her. Any last threads of sympathy still left in Twist for the monster that had looked like a boy burned away and vanished into smoke in that instant. Holy hell, Jonas muttered in a shaken voice, mirroring Twist's feelings exactly. Well, his master was dead, Naomi mentioned, looking at Twist's naked ire with mild concern. He was very upset. He wasn't even listening to his queen, actually, Naomi mentioned, her voice turning thoughtful. Storm killed you? Kima asked, looking astonished. Naomi looked back to her, suddenly understanding fully. If Storm had been upset, no longer following orders, he might have killed Naomi in a moment of passion. Kima, Twist said, struggling to keep himself calm. When Kima looked back to him, she appeared unnerved, but she held his gaze. You're wonderful, Twist said with the full weight of his soul. Kima's face snapped into a smile in an instant, while Jonas and Mira both started to chuckle. Told you, Jonas muttered to Twist. You were right all along, Twist answered, looking away from Kima to snatch up his rum. Yes, you were, Jonas, Mira agreed. Well, wrong voice. Well, thank you for killing my murderer, Naomi said, as if casually to Kima. I'm happy to help, Kima replied amiably. Miguel shook his head, clearly struggling to recover his equilibrium as quickly as his wife, while Pamut seemed lost in thought. Robin gave a sigh before finishing his glass of rum. You know, the worst part of this whole thing for me is that nobody is going to believe a thing I tell them when I get home. The others glanced to him with amused expression, each clearly recognizing how unusual their conversations truly were, now that he mentioned it. Oh, that can be very annoying, Mira said earnestly to Robin, patting at his hand. But it can still be fun to tell your stories, even if people just think you've made them all up. You think so, Dollface? Robin asked. Mira nodded confidently. We're all getting rather used to it. It's not so bad. Robin chuckled. So your life is usually this nutty? Constantly, Mira replied with clear satisfaction. Twist laughed to himself, finding that she was absolutely right. Here we're going to take a quick chapter break. Actually, we're probably going to make this a very quick chapter break because I took a look at how many pages we have left. We have a whole reading stream left. We have a whole reading stream's worth of pages ready to go. Oh my, I am really having a tough time right now. but tea helps. I see the author has made it to the stream, but now going to ghost. Either way, as I'm going to say to everybody here, thank you for joining this reading stream, whether you're here live or listening to the VOD on Twitch or YouTube. And I do appreciate all of the support that these channels receive, even if it is just lurking in the distance and listening in the background. And with that, we're going to dive straight into our next chapter. At Twist's request, Mira held his dreams away that night. He might have had nice dreams if she hadn't silenced them, but with all of the stress of his day, he thought it better to be cautious with his own mind. Mira agreed, and Twist slept peacefully in her arms. Rather than take an unneeded trip through the city, or risk leaving the protection of the spells, Miguel and Naomi shared Miguel's cabin aboard the Icarus that night. In the morning, Naomi helped Mira and Pamuk cook breakfast. Miguel was already at the table when Twist found his way to the kitchen before the meal was ready. As always, Mira paused in her cooking when she spotted Twist and handed him a perfectly made cup of coffee. Apologies, perfectly made cup of tea. Twist thanked her with a kiss at her cheek, but then caught his mother watching them and smiling. Feeling suddenly awkward under her attention, Twist looked to his father, who was frowning down at a half-filled page in his notebook. "What are you up to?" Twist asked, stepping closer and taking a seat at the table near his father. Luckily, Pamut asked a question about how to slice something, and both Naomi and Mira returned their full attentions to their work. Miguel looked up to Twist as if startled, but then relaxed, and looked back to his notebook. Twist glanced at the page and, again, saw nothing but strange, advanced-looking mathematics, full of Greek letters and symbols he didn't recognize. "I'm trying to work out exactly how much gravitational force I'll need to apply to Robin to make him stop in time," Miguel answered. "Too little, and he'll only slow down. Too much, and he'll slip backward in time." "Ah," Twist offered. "Do you know much about natural philosophy, son?" Miguel asked, leaning back and apparently eager to talk of something else. "I'm sorry, I really don't," Twist answered. "Not the sorts of things you're talking about, anyway." "Well, most human scientists still hold to Euclidean geometry," Miguel mentioned with a soft chuckle. "I wouldn't expect anyone to understand my time manipulation unless they've also trapped the jinn and forced him to tell them how this universe actually works. But did you ever learn the kinematic equations?" Twist thought that the word had something to do with movement. "I don't think so," Twist answered. "What about algebra?" Miguel asked, looking unhappy now. "Or geometry?" "Oh no, all I learned in school was arithmetic," Twist said, suddenly realizing that his father was referring to fields of mathematics. Miguel seemed astonished by this. "I see." He glanced down at his notebook. "This probably looks like gibberish to you then." Twist shrugged, trying not to look stupid. "You might enjoy advanced mathematics, though," Miguel mentioned. "These equations right here are really just little machines. I set up a system of calculations," he said, pointing to some of the symbols Twist didn't know. "And then I feed in numbers, and I get a result. You see, algebra will teach you how these little machines work, and then you could move into a specialized field like trigonometry or calculus to study different things like symmetry or change. All of it can be used to determine physical outcomes, too, if you apply mathematics to natural philosophy." Twist nodded, surprised that he could actually almost follow him now. Miguel smiled at him again. "Well, if you enjoy clockwork, I think you'll enjoy mathematics as well. If you ever find yourself looking for a hobby, I'd recommend it." "I shall keep it in mind," Twist said. Miguel nodded and looked back to his notebook before seeming to suddenly see something and swiftly scribble a number on the end of an already long list. Twist decided to leave him to it, and he watched Mira, Pamut, and Naomi busy at the stove. The scent of cooking meat and warm toast began to fill the air. Soon after, Jonas, Kima, and Robin all appeared at the doorway, finishing a conversation. Oh, Robin, Miguel said, looking up to him as if he stepped into the room. As he stepped into the room. What's up, bub? Robin replied, moving to take a seat at the table. Jonas and Kima both turned to the cooks, offering a good morning as they helped themselves to tea. How much do you weigh? Miguel asked Robin. Robin seemed startled by this question. Like 140 something? 145? I think that's what I was for my last performance physical anyway. That's in pounds? Miguel asked, writing again. Thank you, Miguel said when Robin nodded. A few grams won't make a huge difference, but I should weigh you before I do my final calculations. Is that my ticket home? Robin asked, nodding at the notebook. I'm working through the maths, Miguel answered, not looking up. Robin looked at him quietly for a moment, while Jonas and Kima, told that their polite offers to help with cooking were sweet but not needed, took seats at the table as well. So, Robin asked, is it going to work? Miguel looked up to him and put on a smile. It will work. I just have to be careful. I'm trying my calculations from a number of different angles, just to be sure I get the same answer. Good plan, Robin said with an earnest nod. I don't want to end up in the Stone Age. This time is far away from home. Miguel chuckled. That won't happen. You'll get back to your time for sure. After all, moving forward in time is easy. All I'm trying to do is move you faster. Well, thanks for being careful, Robin said, seeming to deeply mean it. I don't know, Jonas mentioned. If I was going to step into a time machine, I might ask to travel further than the next century. Why, you could travel to the distant future and see what's ahead of humanity. Yeah, Robin said on a sigh. But I miss my Billy. Twist chuckled, remembering the name of the singer that Robin had mentioned. I can see that, Jonas agreed, nodding. What about you? He asked, turning to Kima. If you could go anywhere in time, where would you go? Kima paused, thinking this through, but then a soft, warm, subtle smile spread across her face. She glanced at her son, busy with the toast, and then back to Jonas. I'm fine here, she answered. Good things don't usually last very long. I don't think the future can be any better than right now. Twist, Miguel, and Robin all looked to her in mild surprise, while Jonas seemed thoughtful. He leaned closer to her as if to impart a secret. Love, you got to spend more time with Mira. Why? Kima asked, obviously confused by the sudden attention on her. Because Mira is made of pure optimism, Jonas answered. Spend enough time with her, and some of it might rub off on you. What's wrong with realizing that what you have right now is good? Kima asked back. Nothing at all, Miguel said. I think that you're right. God might allow things to change whenever he sees fit, no matter what plans you make. And living in the past can drive you mad. That leaves the present. And today, my present is good too, he added, glancing to his wife. While Kima seemed to appreciate his meaning fully, Jonas, Robin, and Twist all felt quiet, considering both Miguel's and Kima's perspectives. Jonas didn't even retort. Apologies, I'm looking forward here. We have a reading stream's worth of reading to go. We're going to take another quick break as I, well, take some more sips of my tea. Mm. I hope that you are all enjoying this story as well as the reading of the story. And once again, I do want to thank you for being part of tonight's reading stream. Mm. to do a little bit of a stretch here. Actually, let me push that back a bit more. Ooh, I felt that one. Okay. I believe we can get at least another good chapter in, and then we're going to take a longer break. But let's go to our next chapter. Here you go, Robin said, handing Twist a slip of paper. These are all I can think of. Twist looked over the unfamiliar titles that Robin had listed for him, eager to try them out. He sat at the table beside Robin, now that breakfast had been finished and cleared away. And Mira's rose bush was once again sitting cheerily in the center of the table, and put his magical book down before him. Miguel was still across the table, absorbed with his calculations, which he returned to as soon as breakfast had ended. Twist pulled a thin golden inkless pen from the spine of his book. Let's see if this works, Twist said with excitement while Robin watched him. Selecting the first title on the list, Twist used the golden pen to write out the title and author's name on the patch of soft leather on the cover of the book. The golden lettering that was already there moved with his writing like oil on water, shifting into the new letters. Robin gave an astonished tone, watching this magical display, but Twist had done this too many times to be amazed now. Finished, Twist opened the book to a random page. Well, that's a good sign, Twist mentioned, seeing that a new text had, indeed, appeared on the pages. But that book won't be written until 1930, Robin said with a frown. Gin magic is quite amazing, Twist answered proudly. Let's see, he added, looking over this book of the future. Tell me this sounds familiar to you, Robin. Cairo hesitated, said dubiously. I've always have, I must say, a smooth explanation ready. Space Scald. What do you want me to do? Learn to stutter? Startled by the line's sarcastic and darkly humorous edge, Twist paused. Across the table, Miguel looked up as well, but Robin laughed, nodding. Yeah, that's Sam Spade, all right, Robin declared. He's a Class A smartass. How marvelous, Twist exclaimed. My book can even show me books from the future. Thank you so much for this list. Sure, buddy, Robin said with a shrug. I'm not that much of a reader, or I would have given you more titles. You see, I like the movies better. A lot of movies I like are based on books, but snooty people say the books are always better, he added. And I like that book right there when I read it, but I'd say the movie was better. Boogie is unbeatable. What is a movie? Twist asked. You talk about those a lot. A film. You know, moving pictures, Robin answered. Ah, Twist muttered, hoping he could continue into some relevant detail. Robin sighed and shook his head. You've got plays, right? Twist nodded. Oh, yes, certainly. It's kind of like that. Humphrey Bogart is a really good actor. He plays Sam Spade, Robin added with a nod to the book. Oh, I see, Twist said, nodding. Why Robin didn't just call these movies plays to begin with wasn't of great concern to him just now. Well, thank you very much for these recommendations. I shall start reading this book tonight. Yeah, I just hope it makes sense to you, Robin said. The characters in the story are great all by themselves, but there's a lot of modern technology and things in there too. I don't mind, Twist said, eager to begin his first literary expedition into the future, whether it made any sense or not. He wasn't able to dive into the future right away, however, as Miguel suddenly let out an exclamation, startling them both. When Robin and Twist looked to him, Miguel was glowing with delight and pride. I've got it, he told Robin. I just ran 3 different calculations, got exactly the same answer. There's no error. I can send you home now. What? Right now? Robin asked, his face awash with wonder. Anytime you like, Miguel answered. Well, hot damn, Robin exclaimed, jumping to his feet. I'll go get my stuff. He rushed through the door without another word while Miguel chuckled. He looked back at Twist and gave a sigh. Don't tell anyone, Miguel said. But I was stuck for a while there. It just suddenly clicked when I realized that I didn't have to divide by zero. If I just took the square root first. Good for you to catch that, Twist offered supportively, despite his lack of understanding. They both left the kitchen together, Twist taking a moment to leave his book in the cabin and met with the others to tell them the news. By the time Robin was finished packing his meager luggage, the rest of the crew stood waiting for him on the deck. Apparently, everyone was happy to go along with Robin to see him off into the future. You sure, doll? Robin was asking Mira when Twist came to join them. I bought them for you, Mira declared simply. You're a peach, Robin replied with a smile, hanging the strap of a small travel bag over his shoulder. Twist only now remembered that the young man had arrived in this time with nothing but the clothes on his back. Twist looked to Mira in quiet amazement to realize that she outfitted Robin with luggage without making the slightest fuss. He had grown so accustomed to her nurturing nature that he only noticed it occasionally now, but not because she had changed. They then hailed a few cabs, returned to the cathedral, and entered the cavern once again. The massive machine was silent now, just as it was when Twist had first seen it. Say, Bob, Robin asked Miguel, can I get my watch back now, or do you still need it? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Miguel answered, moving to the hourglass that still held the future version of Twist's pocket watch. I only needed it to target Naomi. I don't need it to send you home. He took out the watch and returned to Robin, handing it back to him. Thank you again for your help with the spell. Sure, buddy, Robin replied, taking his watch. I'm glad I could help. Your old lady's a swell gal. I'm glad you got her back safe. Despite Robin's curious choice of words, Miguel seemed to appreciate his sentiments. He set to work immediately, using a scale to get Robin's exact weight before running over his calculations one more time. Naomi, meanwhile, became fascinated by the items that still sat within the numerous small hourglasses on the face of the machine. Curiosity brought Twist to her side. This looks like so much work, Naomi said to Twist. Did he really build this whole machine by himself? He mentioned something about a djinn that helped him, Twist answered. But yes, I rather believe he did most of the work himself. For a long moment, Naomi stared silently at the simple hair comb that lay in the hourglass before her breathing started to come faster, and she blinked quickly. Twist shuddered to see tears escape her eyes. Every part of his soul wanted to reach out to her, to offer the simple comfort of an arm around her or a kind word, but he still couldn't overcome the fear of touching her. He also couldn't imagine what to say. Oh, I'm sorry, she muttered, catching her breath and forcing herself to be calm all on her own. She wiped her eyes and glanced at him with an embarrassed attempt at a smile. I'm being silly. You're not silly, Twist said, finally having a thought that was clear enough to voice. Even if he couldn't guess at what had upset her, he was at least sure of that. His mother looked back at him, surprised but also filled with obvious gratitude. The warmth in her steel blue eyes belied the color, and Twist shivered to recognize the look in her eyes as an exact copy of the way Kima lovingly gazed at her own son. Twist feared that she might forget herself and reach out to him, but she didn't. Instead, she glanced to the side and started. Oh, I did see you, she gasped. The sudden jolt of nervous anxiety and the buzzing at Twist's neck finally brought his attention back to it, as he turned to find Jonas standing beside him. Twist was surprised by the awkward expression on his friend's face and laughed lightly to himself. Poor Jonas had, of course, felt Twist's own emotional turmoil and come to see what the matter was. But after the initial shock of his unintentional intrusion, Jonas calmed. Do you need a hug? He asked Naomi casually. Your son would like to give you one himself, but, well, although he was surprised to find that his thoughts had been so clear to Jonas, when he barely been able to decipher them himself, Twist found no reason to correct him now. Naomi's still flushed and dampened face took on a smile. She considered his offer for a moment and then nodded. Twist watched as Jonas took Naomi into his arms, in Twist's stead, soothing her sorrow in just the way Twist had wanted to do himself. He knew it was a perfectly ordinary gesture, but his own inability to do so made it look precious and magical. When Naomi pulled away from Jonas, she looked more stable and nodded to him in thanks. Jonas let her go without comment. Robin's just about to go, Jonas said to her. Let's go wish him well. He added with a glance to Twist as well. Yes, let's go. Naomi agreed, putting on a smile that looked much more convincing. Walking back to where the others stood near the large central hourglass, Twist shot Jonas a grateful look and tried not to make it too pitiful. Jonas casually tossed an arm around Twist's shoulder. The cool white fog pushed away the last of Twist's discomfort, soothing him just as easily as Jonas's embrace had soothed his mother. Miguel was busy with the controls set into the face of the machine, which Twist now knew would affect the Dark Star's case. None of the others seemed to notice anything amiss in Naomi when she, Twist, and Jonas joined them. I'll miss you too, Dollface, Robin said as he and Mira hugged each other swiftly. You're a swell gal. Mira smiled back to him as she stepped away. Good luck on your trip, Kima offered Robin. While everyone took their turn to wish Robin well, offering kind words, handshakes, and the like, Robin replied to each one politely. Even Pamut gave him a hug in parting, saying that he would miss him too. Miguel appeared at the edge of the group as well, just as Robin was running out of people to say goodbye to. How's it going, Mr. Wells? Robin asked Miguel. Twist suddenly recalled an author named Wells on the list of books that Robin had given him. Now that he thought of it, hadn't that name been attached to a book titled The Time Machine? The controls are all set, Miguel answered. Just step into the hourglass, and I'll open the dark door whenever you're ready. Well, Robin said, glancing over at the others. I think I'm ready. The others followed as Robin and Miguel approached the large central hourglass. The bottom bell stood open, its glass front held apologies. The bottom bell stood open, its glass front held back on its hinge. Robin stepped gingerly inside, having just enough room to stand in the center without having to stoop. As I said, Miguel told him, holding the edge of the door front of the glass bell open with his hand. For you, only a few seconds will pass, at most. Then the door should automatically open for you. But to be safe, I left you that, he added, pointing to a large and heavy-looking wrench that lay at Robin's feet beside a small bag. You shouldn't have any trouble breaking the glass open if you need to. How will I know if I'm in the right time or not before I get out of this thing? Robin asked. It should be obvious, Miguel said with a shrug. You'll see everything out here age in the blink of an eye. When that stops, it's safe to come out. Also left you some scraps of gold, a little food, and water in the bag there to get you started on your way back to America. Thanks, Mr. Wells, Robin said brightly at this. Of course, Miguel said with a shrug. Now, the Jinn magic that created this cavern and hides it from the world has no reason to stop functioning. You should remain hidden here until the time lock releases. I realize that I have little control over what you do when you return home, he added with a weight to his voice now. But I recommend that you just leave this place locked away behind you. The whole world could unravel if people start messing about with time, not fully understanding it. The world could unravel? Robin asked, looking alarmed. In foolish hands, this machine could tear holes in time itself, Miguel answered, nodding. I was very careful in everything I did to time. I had always planned to lock this cavern behind me, hide the entrance, and pray that no one ever discover a way in. I can't stress enough how important it is that you do the same. Okay, buddy, I getcha, Robin said, nodding. Make sure no one uses it to destroy the universe. Basically, Miguel said with a nod. I'm starting to feel like I'm in a damn comic book, Robin said with a shake of his head. All right. I promise to guard the fabric of time from evildoers, he said to Miguel with a salute. Miguel smiled at his jovial tone, but seemed to hear enough sincerity in him to trust that he actually will keep his word. Then goodbye, Robin. I pray that you have an easy trip back home. Goodbye, Miguel, Robin replied with a nod. Thanks for everything. Miguel closed the glass bell of the large hourglass and moved to the side. Robin watched from inside the glass, while the others watched from outside, as Miguel took hold of a lever. He only paused for an instant before pulling it. The machine didn't roar into life as it had before, but the case that held the dark star moved on its armature to sit directly in front of the center of the large hourglass. Inside, Robin looked out at them curiously. Miguel smiled back to him and waved, prompting Mira and Pumba to do the same. Clearly not sure what to expect, Robin waved back, but once he raised his hand, his movement started to slow. Twist watched in amazement as Robin's waving hand slowed to a complete and stony stillness. He stared out at them like a statue, ceasing to even breathe. There, Miguel said, turning to the others. We can go now. Is he all right? Mira asked, looking unnerved. He's fine, Miguel answered easily. He'll barely have time to blink before he finds himself back home at his time. He can't even see us anymore. We're moving far too fast for his eyes to catch. This is strange magic, Puppet muttered, staring at the man stuck in time. You know, it rather is, Miguel agreed. Okay. We have about 20 pages left in this book. I'm looking at the time and gauging my energy, and honestly, I feel tired. However, I will do my best to close out this story with as much energy and fervor as I possibly can. And for those who are joining this reading stream, once again, I do want to thank you for joining and giving this channel, or I suppose channels, the support that you give it, whether it is likes or follows, subscriptions, or lurking. Tell your friends, tell your family, say, hey, I know a guy on YouTube or Twitch who reads stories and even does voices. His voices are a little questionable at times, but other times they're amazing. Hmm. That is some good tea. And if you're wondering, why Taka, what tea are you drinking tonight? Well, I'm drinking, I don't know if it's a crowd favorite, but it is one of my favorites, called the Clockmaker. This tea is roasted green tea, regular green tea, orange peel, black tea, pure tea, rose petal, and pine smoke. I know what you're thinking. Taka, that sounds very delicious. I would like to have that in my cup. Where can I find tea like this? Well, dear listener, if you don't know, allow me the opportunity to tell you about a wonderful tea shop that you'll find on the West Coast, a tea shop in the Pacific Northwest specifically, a tea shop in Seattle, Washington, a tea shop called Friday Afternoon, the tea shop in Seattle, Washington. There may be other tea shops in Seattle, Washington, but this is the tea shop we're going to talk about because today's not sponsorship slash definitely not sponsorship, Friday Afternoon. Now, for those who are regulars to the stream, you know that I do enjoy Friday Afternoon and I drink their tea every reading stream. And if you want to give it a try, you can go to their website, www.fridaytea.com, where you'll find a wide variety of teas that I know will tickle your fancies as they have tickled mine. Tonight, I want to tell you about this tea, if I can pronounce it correctly. I believe it is Spanish. But, or it could be Italian? No, I believe it's Spanish. Tulsi Delici. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly. Spanish is not one of my languages, but we do what we can. Nevertheless, it definitely says Tulsi. In fact, let's put this in chat. I will type it out. There's the tea name in chat if you can see it. And I'm looking for the window that actually talks about the tea. Here it is. So, Tulsi Delish. Now, again, I could be mispronouncing this, but it looks like it is a nice tea here. And for those who do actually speak Spanish, I apologize in advance. So, the description for this tea is as follows. Now, is this IQ Rico? I think it's K. No, it's not K. This is Q. I think it's Q. IQ Rico. We adore our doses, especially when they're spiked with a moderate caffeine boost, thanks to the lusciously, apologies, thanks to the lusciously smooth, honey-noted golden Yunnan. Throw in a smooth, happy body of Krishna Tulsi and a handful of real toffee chips. Finish the whole party off with a decent dose of vanilla and caramel, and what have you got? The ideal dessert tea with unmistakable Latin flavor. Ingredients: toffee, tulsi, black tea, natural caramel, and vanilla flavoring. As someone who likes caramel and vanilla flavoring, that sounds great. And the toffee contains sugar, vegetable oil, and chocolate. We have some reviews here. Mostly 5 stars. There's actually a review here that is 2 stars. I'm curious about that. But the first review that I see is from yesterday, October 17th, 2025. So this is a very fresh review here. And it says, my go-to evening tea. This is my go-to evening tea. Great to relax after dinner as I watch a movie or read a book. Comfort, rich flavor, wonderful. The 2-star review from March of 2025 simply says, not my cup of tea. Well, unfortunately, it is not their cup of tea, but who knows? It may be someone else's cup of tea instead. For the other reviews, I have 5 stars. Another person wrote in November of 2024, very tasty, very tasty if you enjoy dessert type teas. And the final review that I'm going to read is from August of 2024, 5 stars. So tasty. This blend is so good. I got it as a sample, and after 1 cup, I'm hooked. I gotta get a full bag. If you like sweet coffee dessert drinks like I do, you'll love this. Cinnamon isn't overpowering, just the right amount to give a homely lift. Highly recommend with brown sugar and a splash of heavy whipping cream. And there you have it. Apologies. Something got stuck in my throat. But there you have it. Oh my. I really have something in my throat. One moment, everyone. There we are. I believe we're better now. So there you have it. Pretty good reviews. There's that 1 2 star, but even so, as 2 stars, they didn't say that the tea was not good or disgusting or anything like that. Just simply not my cup of tea. Maybe they're like me. They like the spicy tea like Anansi's Web, or they like criminally delicious teas like the Fairy Queen. I guess criminally delicious teas may not be their preference either, but that is beyond the point. And this is the Tulsi Delish tea on Friday afternoon. Again, you can find this on their website, www.fridaytea.com. Again, that is www.friday, like the day, and tea, like the drink.com. And again, They do not sponsor this channel, at least not legally. They do not sponsor this channel. They probably know I still do this. People have told them, but they probably know I still do this. They do not hold me hostage. They do not hold anything. They do not have any ransoms that I have to fulfill. They they just make really good tea. And I enjoy talking about their teas on the reading stream. So here we are as I take yet another sip of my own tea. And we need to make a decision here. Originally, I had planned to finish out today's reading stream, finish out the book on today's reading stream. Hmm, I'm deciding here. Unfortunately, we may actually cut it a little short today. I assumed that I calculated correctly last Saturday that we will be able to finish the book today. Normally, for the reading stream, I read about 30 pages a stream based on the pacing that I go with, and of course, dealing with any mistakes that I have. However, in the interest of my own energy levels and time, I believe what we're going to do is this. We're going to prepare to end the reading stream now. Apologies, everyone, if you're expecting a longer stream. Next Saturday is the Halloween special, so we will take a break from this book to read stories. Well, I believe the author of this book, yes, the author of this book did submit a story for the Halloween special. Um, Actually, we have a couple authors who have been featured on the reading stream who will be reading or who have submitted stories. We have new people that I have not read their stories on the reading stream before. They have submitted stories. Myself, well, you hear me all the time, so I don't know how much that matters. As well as the man himself, Edgar Allan Poe, he too submitted a story from the grave. It was amazing. But we will have that next Saturday, and the following Saturday, November 1st, we will wrap up Clockwork Twist, Book 10, Time. I feel that this may be actually the right way to go because I could feel myself becoming too tired to continue. Apologies, everyone, but we did have a wedding, we did have some protest, and, well, things are interesting in my neighborhood at the moment. So it has been a rather tiring, if not day, week. But despite all of that, everyone, thank you for joining this reading stream. I hope that you enjoy the reading of the story as well as, well, the story itself, actually. And I do hope that you all stay safe out there. Remember to take care of each other, be kind to each other if you can, and, well, for the Americans out there, continue to believe in our freedoms, the Constitution, and that we are a democracy and nothing more. And with that, I'll leave you all to a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time. Until then, take care and bye bye.